Hi, guys, welcome back to my channel. Please share and subscribe my channel to get more interesting topic. Thanks.
Hi guys, how are you? Today's discussion about the guidelines for structural steel welding inspection as per AWS D1.1. So we need to know for this particular subject, structural steel for welding inspection as per AWS D1.1, from the beginning, from the material, what are the inspection we need, or not only for the acceptance criteria, we need to know from the beginning what are the requirement for inspection. We have the standard terms is there in AWS D1.1, CJP, PJP, and Fillet. So this type of joints will come in as per AWS D1.1. What is CJP? Completed joint penetration. So complete joint penetration. You see here the group welding, the joint is completely penetrated by the groove welding. So groove welding already penetrated there. This is called complete joint penetration. You see here. Also in the fillet welding, you can see here the groove is already melted and penetrate already. So that's why it's called the completed joint penetration. You can see here C and D. It's same as a fillet and this one is groove. So you can see here CJP, and what is PJP? Partial joint penetration. This is partial joint penetration. You can see here, this is fillet weld. You can see here this area is not melted. So means this is the partial joint penetration from this area and the opposite area. This is called the partial joint penetration. You can see here C, D and E. It is the very clear picture here. In group welding you can see here. This is the V group is there. So this is penetration and the bottom side also penetrated. The middle side you can see here metal is there, it is not melted, means it's not penetrated. This is as per the joint configuration. If you go the AWS D1.1, this is the joint configuration. This type of joint configuration will come if you work at sites as per AWS D1.1. Fillet weld, you see the fillet weld. Fillet weld how it's coming. So this is CJP and PJP. This is the two term, and it will be applicable in the fillet weld or groove weld. So you see here the fillet weld. Fillet weld is here. This is the fillet weld. A, B, and C. You can understand this is the cross connection, cross marks. So what are the scope are there in AWS D1.1? This is the normal. I have mentioned here 8 scope. General requirement, design of welded connection, pre-qualification, qualification, fabrication, inspection, stud welding and strengthening and repair of existing structure. So we'll go the details for this subject, every subject. So we already discussed general requirement. This is the limitation of code. Limitation, what are the code limitation are there for AWS D1.1? We need to know the code is not intended to be used for the following. We cannot use this if this below criteria is applicable is anywhere, so we cannot use AWS D1.1. Steel with the minimum specified yield strength greater than 100 ksi. So if it is yield strength, if it is greater than 100 ksi means 690 MPa. If it is any steel using this one, then we cannot use it is as per AWS D1.1. So we have to check the minimum specified yield strength. It should be less than 690 MPa. Then we can use this code AWS D1.1. Steel less than 3 mm thick. Steel less than 3 mm thick. It cannot use the AWS D1.1. Pressure vessel or pressure piping. So pressure vessel and pressure piping, definitely we cannot use this AWS D1.1. Base metal other than what code we are using, pressure piping, then B31.1 if it is a power pressure piping, and B31.3 also we can use. So base metal other than carbon or low alloy steel, AWS D1.6. So if it is carbon or low alloy steel, other than carbon or alloy steel, we are using the stainless steel. That is the code is there in structural welding code stainless steel AWS D1.6. If there is a contract document specify mention in the AWS D1 used for the stainless steel, it is totally wrong. This requirement it should go to the AWS D1.6 should apply. So this is the limitation of code. You should know this one. There is a design of welded connection. So what type of welded connection are there in AWS D1.1? This is part A, common requirement for design welded connection, non-tubular and tubular member. Part B is the specific requirement for design and non-tubular connection, statistically or cylindrically loaded. Part C is the specific requirement for design or non-tubular connection, cylindrically loaded, cyclically loaded. Part D is the specific requirement for design and tubular connection, statistically and cyclically loaded. So this is the design of welded connection. So weld joint configuration for groove weld. So weld joint configuration for groove weld. So there is a groove weld there. I already told the CJP and the PJP. So this is clause. If you go to, I am discussing for this the main topic for this one. All topics I didn't go there because I am. What are the prohibition are there? What are the main things are there? AWS 1.1 I am discussing here. If you go to class 2.8.2 AWS D1.1, you see here it's mentioned partial length CJP group weld prohibition. So what is mean partial length CJP group? So there is a completed joint penetration is there, but it is partial length. It is not. If there is a length of groove is there, maybe 300 mm. You partial length, if you are doing the partial length only this one 100 mm and 200 mm you are not doing, maybe in some cases you are doing something other things, other joint is coming from there, then it is not acceptable because partial length CJP group weld prohibition or prohibited. So what is mean? You see here intermittent or partial length CJP group weld shall be prohibited except, so there is a chance is there, except that member built up of element connected by a fillet weld may have groove weld of limited length at point of localized load application to the participant in the transfer or localized load. What does this mean? Means you have there is 300 mm groove weld, but you are doing 300 mm. After that there is a connection is there. With that connection there is a built up element is there and there is a fillet weld from there 100 mm you are tying for the built up element. So in that case you have to, that is connected with fillet weld, so you have to go the fillet weld. So this is the case you can accept it. The groove welds shall extend at uniform size for at least the length required of the transfer of the load. So groove weld shall extend, you can extend the uniform size for at least the length required transfer the load. Beyond this length, the groove shall be made with a transition in depth to 0 over a distance not less than 4 times its depth. The groove shall be filled flush before application of the fillet weld. So, always you have to maintain the groove shall be flush, then you have to start the fillet weld. So, this is the partial length CJP groove weld prohibition. Class 2.8.3 AWS D1.1 intermittent PJP group weld. You see intermittent. Intermittent means this is the partial joint penetration. How it looks like you can understand here. This is the partial joint penetration. Now, intermittent means there is a welding is there, but it is not continuous. Continuously welding is not there. Intermittent welding is there. Means maybe 10 mm welding, after that there is a gap, after that 10 mm again welding. So intermittent PJP groove welds, flare bevel and the flare groove welds may be used to transfer shear stress between connected parts. So this is intermittent PJP groove we can use, but this is certain limitation is there. Flare bevel, flare groove weld may be used to transfer shear stress between connected parts. When there is a connecting parts is there, then that shear stress we have to transfer. That time we need this intermittent PJP groove welds. Clause 2.8.4. What is this? 2.8.4 is AWS D1.1 weld removal. So, weld tab removal. You know everywhere. When you are doing in the plate in the V joint, you see here the tab is there at the end. This is called run off tab or weld tab. You can see here at the both the end. Also, you can see the run off bar at the back side. So, for a strategically loaded non-tubular structure, it is a non-tubular structure, weld tabs need to not to be removed. It's not required to remove. If it is required in the contract, then we need to remove that one. When removal is required or when finishing the surface required other than the described 5.14.8, the requirement shall be specified in the contract document. Then if you need to remove this one, then it should be specified in the contract document. So this is weld tab removal. Now weld configuration for fillet weld. That is we had discussed now already PJP, already discussed PJP and CJP. Fillet weld. Now it is for the fillet weld. This is for groove weld and this is for fillet weld. If you go clause 2.9.1.2 AWS D1 minimum overlap, what should maintain? You see here, this clearly this is one plate and this is another plate. This is the thickness. This length, this space between this overlap should be 5 into T, not less than 25 mm. There is two things are there. If it is maintained 5 into T, it should be maintained. Otherwise, it should not be less than 25 mm. So, the minimum overlap of the part is stress carrying lap joint shall be 5 times of the thickness of the thinner part. So, 5 times of the thickness thinner part. If it is which is the thinner, we have to take that thickness only. So, 5 into T and not less than 25 mm. It is 5 into T, otherwise not less than 25 mm. Longitudinal fillet weld. So this is you have to understand longitudinal fillet weld. You see here the longitudinal fillet weld is there. There is a plate. This is the one plate and there is downside another plate is there and you are doing the fillet weld here. So this is certain requirement is there. You see distance between welds W not more than 16 T. So from here this is the plate end from here to this plate. So this width it should not be more than 16 times of the thickness. 16 times of thickness. So this length it should not be more than 16 times of the thickness. So this is one criteria. Another criteria is this length. This length means this is the fillet weld length of weld not less than W. So this length it should not be less than this W. W means from here to here. So length of weld not less than W. It should not be less than W. So this is the criteria we have to maintain for longitudinal fillet weld. Now clause 3 AWS D1 pre-qualification of WPS. This is very important. As per Article 3, pre-qualification of WPS is extended from WPS qualification because this is not required. If we are maintaining the pre-qualification WPS as per AWS D1.1, then the requalification then the qualification of the WPS is not required. So this is the following condition should be made. Then only WPS qualification is not required. Then pre-qualified WPS we can start the work. So welding process. SMW, SAW, GMW, except GMWS. GMWX, if it is there, then we have to qualify the WPS. SMW, SAW, GMW, and FCAW, which conform to all the provision of this section shall deemed as pre-qualified. So, SMW, SAW, GMW, and FCAW we can use for as a pre-qualified WPS. Base metal filler metal combination shall confirm this table. So this table you should confirm the base metal filler metal. Relationship is matching and relationship is under matching. Matching is means base metal. Any steel to itself or any steel another in the same group. If it is you are using the P1 to P11, I am just a steel alloy. So if it is P1 to another P1 material, then it is not a problem. Same case in the filler metal. Filler metal it should be in the listed in the same group. So where we can mention here all these pillar metal and details. So you can see here. This is some of the tables I mentioned here. You can find out in the AWS D1.1. Table 3.3 is the approved base metal for pre-qualified WPS. Means that material is the only approved base metal for pre-qualified WPS. Table 3.1 and 3.2 filler metal for matching strength. So matching strength, we have to check the filler metal which metal is matching. Table 3.3 pre-qualified minimum and maximum maximum preheat temperature. So what are the pre-qualified minimum maximum preheat temperature? We have to beyond when this value. If we change that one, then we have to qualify the WPS. It is very important. Minimum pre-qualified in PJP weld site. So pre-qualified PJP weld size is mentioned here. Table 3.5. If you qualify the other than pre-qualified PJP weld size, then you have to qualify the WPS. And lastly, this is very important. Table 3.6 pre-qualified WPS requirement. So pre-qualified W, if you go the table 3.6, it's mentioned everything from the base metal, filler metal, current, amperage, what are the requirements are there, and you have to match all the requirement. Then we need no need the pre-qualified or no need the another WPS. Pre-qualified WPS is enough. 3.4 procedure approved by engineer after pre-qualification. The pre-qualified WPS, you need to make the pre-qualified WPS. After that WPS you will check our engineer and you will approve based on the AWS D1.1. Minimum preheat and interpass temperature requirement shall be as per table 3.3 is mentioned the what are the minimum preheat and interpass temperature we have to maintain for pre-qualified WPS. Limited of WPS variable. It's mentioned also if you go the table 3.6, it's mentioned here the current and amperage voltage double speed what we have to maintain. It's mentioned there. So all these things it should be made. It should be made following condition. Means all these conditions 3.2, 3.3, 3.4, 3.5, 3.6, all these conditions shall be made. Then only you can use the pre-qualification pre-qualified WPS. Common requirement for parallel electrode or multiple electrode is there is a one things are there. If you go the multiple electrode and parallel electrode, then there is a spacing is there for the both electrode. It should not be exceed the 380 mm. If it is more than 380 mm, then we have to qualify the WPS. Minimum fillet weld requirement shall confirm. So 3.9, if you go the minimum fillet weld requirement, if it is T less than or equal to 1 by 4, then 6 mm we have to use the 3 mm. Okay. Then 1 by 4 to 1 by 2. T in between this one thickness, base metal thickness, then minimum size of fillet it should be of 5 mm. So this is like 1.1 by half to 3/4 inch. If it is T, then you have to use the minimum weld size is 6 mm. If it is more than T 3/4 inch, means T is more than 20 mm. Then you have to use the millet size is 8 mm. This is the very common table we have to use for AWS D1.1 minimum fillet weld requirement. Clause 4, what is this WPS qualification? If we are not follow the clause 3, it is not made any of the condition in clause 3, then we have to qualify the WPS again. This is called WPS qualification. Clause 5 is preheat and interpass temperature. Preheat and interpass temperature, why we are used? Preheat and interpass temperature shall be sufficient to prevent cracking. So to prevent cracking, we are using the preheat and interpass temperatures. And what are base metals shall be preheated if required. So base metal it should be required the preheated if required to a temperature not less than minimum value of listed WPS. So here is the mention in the WPS in the pre-qualified there is a minimum preheat temperature. So we have to follow that temperature only. Preheat and all subsequent minimum interface temperatures shall be maintained during the welding operation for a distance at least equal to thickness of the thickest welded part or not less than 70 in all direction from the part. So your weld plate is there, weld joint base metal thickness is made 25 mm. So there is a equal areas you have to do preheat means 25 mm thickness. So all areas from the joint. So round, if you go the from joint from left side and the from joint the right side, both areas, all deduction have to be preheated in all areas. Then the you can tell the cracking it not be happen. If it is preheating is not the in proper way, then maybe crack will become. Minimum interface temperature requirement shall be considered equal to the preheat temperature. So, it's also mentioned in the ASME section 9, its minimum interface temperature shall be considered always the preheat requirement. So, preheat requirement is the minimum interface temperature unless otherwise indicated in the WPS. If it is in the WPS it is not mentioned, you have to consider the minimum interface temperature is the preheat requirement. 6.9, what is this? Visual inspection. Visual inspection, if you go to 6.1, this table 6.1 already mentioned in the last page, already it's added here in this presentation. So 6.9 is the visual inspection. What are the acceptance criteria that is mentioned there? Penetrative testing and magnetic particle testing. So wells that are subjected to PT and MT in addition to the visual inspection shall be evaluated on the basis of acceptance criteria of the visual inspection. So it's also mentioned in the visual inspection. And other than this, if it is requirement, then it is required in the contract requirement. Clause 6.11 is NDT. Except as required, 9.2. The quality requirement of NDT are not part of the contract unless NDT specified in the information furnished to the bidder. So, at the time of bidding, if it is required from client side that we need the NDT for this particular areas, then we need to do NDT. But as per AWS D1.1, there is a not required as the NDT unless it is a contract mentioned. This is a very important visual inspection acceptance criteria. You see here the crack prohibition, weld-based metal fusion, crack cross section. So there is two things are there: statistically loaded non-tubular connection and the cyclically loaded non-tubular connection. Crack is any type of crack is not acceptable. It is unacceptable. Weld metal fusion, completed fusion shall be there in the both cases. Crater cross section, weld profile you shall be confirmed 5.23. Time of inspection, visual inspection shall be done after completed quickly. Then we have to after immediately join the after join welding. Then you have to cool the ambient temperature. Then you can find out the visual inspection. You can go for visual inspection. Visual based still shall be based on visual inspection performed not less than 48 hours after completion. So you have to perform the after 48 hours. After 48 hours, then we have to check for visual inspection as per AWS D1.1. If you go underside weld, specified normal nominal weld size is 5 mm. Okay, 5 mm is the specification is there, but allowable decrease in 2 mm. So in 5 mm, if it is weld size is there and you have done in some areas welding 2 mm, it is acceptable. In same case, the 6 mm, 2.5 mm, 8 mm specific nominal weld size, then it is 3 mm, it is acceptable. So it is acceptable, but in that case, in all cases, the underside portion, the weld shall not exceed of the 10% of the weld length. This is very important. Means if it is 100 meter of weld length, only the 10 meter weld length, it is the underside, it is acceptable. It is more than 10 meter, this underside weld portion is coming. This is not acceptable. We cannot accept that weld. Undercut. For material less than 1 inch, undercut shall not exceed 1 mm. So if it is material 25 mm thickness, less than 25 mm thickness, then undercut it should not be exceed 1 mm. So 1 mm is acceptable, more than 1 mm it is not acceptable. Porosity, you see the porosity, there is a 3A, B and C. You can just, I am giving one. CGP groups will in butt joint transfer the direction of the compound tensile strength before all other group weld and fillet weld. The sum of visible piping porosity. So the sum of visible piping porosity. So if you see the piping porosity is there 1 mm or greater in diameter shall not exceed in 10 mm. So in 10 mm weld length, In 1 mm only acceptable. If it is more than 1 mm, it is not acceptable. In same case, in 20 mm, in the porosity, in any 300 mm oil length only acceptable. In 20 mm oil length, 20 mm is the porosity length. It is acceptable in 300 mm length of the oil. So this is, it is applicable for statistically loaded non-tubular connection. If you go B and C, it is the different criteria. Then it is used for the cyclically loaded non-tubular connection. So this is all the AWS D1.1. This is the basic requirement for inspection from beginning to end. I have explained. I think you people are understand this one, and I need your feedback because I want to know from your feedback that if there is a need anything upgrade or something, then I will upgrade this all these topics. Okay. Thanks a lot again and watching my video. Don't forget share and subscribe my channel to get regular videos so that to encourage me to get more and more video of as per your requirement. Thanks again.